Welcome to Mishna study of the Masechet Peah, Perek Gimal, Mishnah Vav. In this Mishnah, we're going to see what the laws if a person starts selling portions of a field. So, Hamocher kilhei ilan betoch sadehu, noten peah lechol echad ve'echad. Amar Rabbi Yehuda ematai, bizman shelo shiyer ba'al hasadeh. אבל אם שייר בעל השדה, הוא נותן פאה לכל. So if a person sells kilhei ilan are the reeds of the tree. He's not selling the tree itself. He's just selling, portions of it. Actually, I'll just read over here in the Harambam in the Mishna Torah. He says, "Hamocher mekomot misadehu." Right, so he's selling, parts of his field, meaning he's not selling the whole tree. He's selling reeds of a tree. Notem peah lekol echad ve'echad. Right, so he sells them. He needs to give peah for each one, right? For each kelach ilan, right? Each one of these reeds of the ilan, he needs to give a peah for each one. Now, Rambam over here is very careful, and he says, "Notem peah mikol echad ve'echad kelomar." Right? In other translations from the Arabic, it's probably better to say this way: kelomar. Halokeach, right? Choser al halokeach. We have a translator over here, right? And every time Harambam really says that, that language of kilomar, he's bothered by something, I guess, challenging from the pshat level of the Mishnah, where we could have really misunderstood. The subject of the Mishnah is the person who's selling. So you could have thought that the person who's selling needs to give a peah for everyone. So Harambam is very careful over here, and he says, kilomar halokeach, the person who's purchasing. The buyer needs to give a peah for each one. And actually, in the Mishnah Torah, when he speaks about this case, he says, "Hamocher mekomot misadehu la'anashim harbe," right? To many people, right? Because every person has to give, right? Noten peah lekol echad ve'echad. Every person who buys, each purchaser needs to give a peah for each kelach ilan. Now, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, right? Ematai, when so? Bizman shelo shiyer ba'al hasadeh. Right? When the owner of the field didn't leave anything left over, meaning he didn't start to harvest yet. But if the owner of the field started to harvest and he had some left over, then the owner of the field needs to give peah for everything. Because once you start to cut, right, that's when right? From the second you start to cut the field, that's when the hayuv of peah falls on the field, and whoever started to harvest and cut the field, they're the one who needs to give the peah. And halacha over here is like Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda, we have a rule. Harambam over here pretty much tell us the rule. Whenever you say Amar Rabbi Yehuda, ematai, right? He's coming to explain divrei Tanakama. Right? As opposed to if you had, the words, Tanakama says this, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that would be Holek. That would be his arguing. But if we have Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Ematai, he's coming to explain the words of Tanakama and not argue on him. This actually is a rule from the Gemara, from the Talmud, Masechet Sanhedrin. Daf Kafeh, we say we have the quote, "Kol makom sheshana Rabbi Yehuda ematai, eno cholek ela mefarish divrei hachamim." Right, so Rambam really runs with that, and halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda.